The jagged top, if you come down it just a bit before you start hitting the more loose rock, you can just see the cave up there. So as you come down maybe 1/6 of the way, you can see the cave. It's very faint right now, the shadows. That's would be the cave of Elijah. As you go up over that ridge, you have essentially a bowl. The bowl is, the ridge, it is about 100 feet, let's say 30 meters or so. All the way around, you have the plateau up there. When you look up to the plateau, you look up to that sharp peak. So this whole thing is, again, Mount Sinai. Now, the reality is past that peak, there are 2 more peaks. It's actually a 3-peaked mountain. We'll have plenty of time to talk more about it and even some climate, etc. In a few minutes we're going to go up to the altar itself, but everyone follow me over here, be very careful. We have everyone, okay. It's pretty cool to see it in person, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so think of these rocks. In ancient times, these were like billboards along the routes, and they would say, oh, here's a wonderful blank slate. We're going to leave a record of some of the things that have happened here. Now, just upon initially looking at it, you see all kinds of cows and some other animals. From where we're sitting, see the white building there with the field, I think they're olive trees to the right. Just to the right of that, that's the golden calf altar. We're going to go over there shortly. You'll see all kinds of carvings of cows there. But here you've got, again, a whole bunch of cows. Now, when you read the biblical narrative, Moses is up on the mountain. He's up there for a long time. Israel is in the middle of, for all intents and purposes, a betrothal wedding ceremony. And Moses takes too long, and they go, hey, let's worship a cow, and let's call it God. And he comes down, and Joshua's waiting for him. And he goes, what's that sound that I hear in the camp? It's not the sound of war. It's not the sound of defeat. He goes, they're singing. What's interesting is he can hear them, but he can't see them because he's in the bowl. Okay, the topography of the mountain explains the narrative quite well. He comes down and he says, when he saw the dancing, he smashed the tablets. Okay, so he saw they were dancing. What else were they doing? They're worshiping the cow. Now, you have this ceremony that is common in Egypt as they worship the cow. It says they ate and drank and they rose up to play. The term to play in the Hebrew, it has the connotations of sexual idolatry. They were having a big pagan, celebration. They're dancing. Okay, this is what the Bible describes. So, I didn't even notice this at first, the first time I saw it. Every single human in this, okay, they're even more excited to be here than we are. Okay, so every single person in the picture has an erection, except for this guy. So you go, okay, so the critics will say, oh, these are just cows. You see them all over Saudi Arabia. It's no big deal. These are farmers. You go, no, these are not farmers. It's depicting something. Now, granted, it's a very primitive. I mean, when a rock is your paintbrush, it's very primitive. But so it's portraying a religious celebration. Now, the key here is this. This is a very unique. Obviously, you've got a person under the cow. I'm going to send you a picture. Identical in the tomb of Pharaoh Seti in the Valley of the Kings in Egypt. It's this big picture of them worshiping this cow with a person under it, just like that. And then you'll also see people holding the tail of the cow, like right here. You can see a person back there holding the tail, and we'll see a few more over there. So the point is, again, the clear connection of this to Egypt. Whoever did this came from Egypt. And that's huge in terms of validating this as, you know, as Mount Sinai. Now, just a little neat little small thing. Can you see these two little figures here with the curved tails?
Yes.
They look, okay, so as you see all the dogs around, they're called Salukis. I was talking with Vivian about this. Up in Turkey, you see, they're called Anatolian Shepherds. They're a bit bigger. But the dogs around here, they all have, I mean, not, there's some other dogs that have that curved tail, but it's a distinct feature, and they're pretty much all the same. And I just think it's neat that you've got that same, you know, you've got, they threw a few dogs in there. This thing here, I go, what's going on here? It kind of looks feline, but again, who knows? There's a lot here. There's someone that pointed this out. Now again, everyone is always looking for Paleo Hebrew, and I go, it kind of does sort of have that feature of a, but again, I'm very cautious because everyone's trying to find that, and really the reality is we're not going to probably see anything that would be called Paleo Hebrew. We would see something even more primitive, as Ellie says, Proto-Cainitic. It's very primitive, and it's difficult to discern the difference between it and what's called Thamudic and so forth. So I'm just always cautious of, you know, making big claims. Again, we've got a camel up here. We're going to see a lot more. Yeah, I think that's probably all I have to say.